They threw me in a pit before they sold me down the river. Family, same blood, same dinner table. Some pits aren't punishment. Some pits are positioning. Yo. Coat of many colors got me thrown in the hole. Brothers couldn't stand the gift, couldn't stand the unfold of a future they couldn't see themselves in. So they sold me to the merchants for 20 silver pieces down to Egypt, where I had to start from zero again, where the language wasn't mine and the gods weren't mine, and every advancement I made got snatched by another lie. Potiphar's wife flipped the script, and I caught the time. I've been in the pit, I've been in prison. I've been forgotten by the Cabero when the dream had risen. I've been 30 years old before the title finally came. 2 years late on every promotion I should've claimed, but God was building character that the palace would require, because palace problems break the man without the prison fire. Joseph in the dungeon was being prepared for Pharaoh's throne. The pit wasn't the ending, it was the qualifying zone. From the pit to the prison to the palace, that's the route. The God who tracks your testimony don't take shortcuts. From the pit, what they meant for evil, he meant for good. What they buried in the ground became the bread that fed the food of the very brothers who threw me in the dark. Now I sit in the position, they couldn't see me in from the start. From the pit I came up, came up. The dreamer in the pit didn't lose the dream when they covered him. The dream went down to Egypt with him, they couldn't smother it. You can lock a dreamer up, but you can't lock up the dream. You can sell the body, but the assignment can't be deemed canceled by anybody who didn't write the original. God's blueprint don't get amended by a brother's hatred or a wife's accusation or a forgotten prison favor. The timing belongs to the one who held the paper. Joseph said it plain when he saw them again. Y'all meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. The pit wasn't subtracted from the story. The pit was the chapter that built the savior of the household. Pit to the prison to the palace, that's the route. The God who tracks your testimony don't take shortcuts. What it meant for evil, he meant for good. What they buried in the ground became the bread that fed the food of the very brothers who threw me in the dark. Now I sit in a position they couldn't see me in from the start. From the pit I came up, I came up. The pit is not the verdict, the pit is the preparation. You're not at the ending, you're in the middle of the route. Isaiah 45 verse 2. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass and cut in sunder the bars of iron. That promise was made to a king who didn't know God yet, but God knew the gates that were coming for him. He breaks the gates while you're still walking toward them. I've been walking toward gates of brass I couldn't have busted myself. Doors I've been told would never open by the man holding the bolts. System built before I was born to keep men like me on the outside. God spoke a verse over me from Isaiah I almost missed in passing. Said I will go before thee. That's not a metaphor, that's a strategy. The gate breaking happens in advance of the gatewalker showing up. By the time I get to what was supposed to stop me, it's already been broken. That's not coincidence, that's covenant, that's contracted demolition. I've been Cyrus more than I want to admit, clueless about the assignment, walking forward not knowing God had a verse with my name on it. Wondering why doors kept opening that shouldn't have opened for me. Wondering why the brass kept turning into something I could step through. The answer was in Isaiah the whole time. He goes before, breaks the brass, cuts the iron, makes the crooked path straight, and I just walked through what he already finished. While I was walking the gates of brass, I never had to break them. The gates of brass. He went before me with the verse in his hand, broke the bars, cut the iron, made the crooked places straight, while I was still walking forward, not knowing what was waiting. I just walked through what he already finished. Closed doors don't survive when he's got the key. And I'm walking, not breaking. He went before me, he's still going before me. Notice God didn't promise Cyrus to remove the gates entirely. He promised to break the gates of brass, which means the gates exist. The brass was real, the iron was real, the opposition was structural. This isn't a verse for people who never had to face anything. This is for people who had real walls in front of real assignments. The promise isn't an empty path, the promise is a path through its dad. The breaking happens, but the breaking happens before you arrive. Magical thinking says there will be no obstacles. Biblical faith says there will be obstacles, and God will break them. And the breaking is not always quiet. Sometimes the gates make noise. Sometimes you arrive and find debris where the bars will stand. Sometimes the people who built the gate are still standing there confused about how the structure they trusted came apart while you were on your way. The verse keeps going past verse 2 if you keep reading. That thou mayest know that I am the Lord, which called thee by thy name, and the God of Israel. The gate breaking is the introduction. God breaks the brass, so you'll know who's speaking to you. By the time you arrive at the broken gate, you should already know whose name to call. There's a gate somewhere right now, he's already breaking on your behalf. A door you've been told will never open, that he's taking off the hinges. Don't quit walking forward because the gate still looks closed from here. The verse goes before the gate walker, the breaking goes before the arrival. By the time you get there, you'll find debris where the bars were standing, and you'll know it wasn't your strength that broke the structure. It was his verse spoken over your assignment before you ever asked. The gates of brass, I never had to break them. The gates of brass, he went before me with the verse in his hand. Broke the bars, cut the iron, made the crooked places straight, while I was still walking forward, not knowing what was waiting. I just walked through what he already finished. Closed doors don't survive when he's got the key. The gates of brass, and I'm walking, not breaking. He went before me, he's still going before me. He goes before you. Whatever brass is in front of you right now, he's breaking it while you're still walking. You don't have to ram it. The verse is already on the gate. The gate is already coming down. Isaiah 52 verse 7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace, that bringeth good tidings of good, that publisheth salvation, that saith unto Zion, thy God reigneth. Beautiful feet, that's the description. Not eloquent voice, not impressive credentials, feet, because the feet did the running. The willingness to cover the distance is the beauty. The body that showed up to deliver the news is the beautiful part. Yeah, that Hebrew picture is a messenger running across the mountain ridge, carrying news to a city that's been waiting in dread for word from the battlefield. And the messenger's feet are torn up, dusty, bleeding from the rocks, but the scripture calls him beautiful. That's the surprising adjective, because beauty in this verse is not about the appearance of the feet, it's about the function. The feet that ran when most messengers wouldn't have. The body that showed up to the assignment when easier excuses were available. The arrival is the beauty, the willingness to come is the elegance. I've been guilty of waiting for somebody else to be the messenger, hoping the assignment would land on a more qualified pair of feet than mine, hoping someone with cleaner shoes and better breath control would cover the distance. But Isaiah 52 doesn't say the feet have to be clean to be called beautiful. The feet just have to do the running, and the running is the credential. The willingness is the qualification, the showing up is the gift. And the city waiting in dread doesn't care about your shoe condition. The city cares that the news arrived in time to change the outcome. Beautiful feet, that's what they're called when they show up. Beautiful feet, torn, dusty, bleeding from the run, but called beautiful. Cause beauty in this assignment is about function, not finish. The willingness to cover the distance is the actual elegance. Beautiful feet, I'm running across the ridge with the news, carrying word of peace to a city expecting bad reports. Beautiful feet, and I'm not waiting for cleaner shoes. The running is the beauty, the showing up is the gift. Notice the messenger's message that thy God reigneth. That's the news worth running for, the headline worth bleeding feet for. Not just generic comfort, not vague encouragement, not abstract spirituality. The specific announcement that the king is still on the throne. That the battle the city was sure they had lost has already been won. That the report that we're dreading is not the report that's coming. That's the message, the beautiful Beautiful feet were designed to deliver. Paul quoted this verse in Romans 10. How shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? How beautiful are the feet of those that preach the gospel of peace. The verse expanded from a battlefield, running to every messenger of the gospel. Every man carrying good news to a city that doesn't know the news yet. Every voice telling a person that the verdict isn't what they fear. Everybody covering the distance between the throne and the addresses that haven't heard yet that the King reigns. There's a city in your life right now waiting for news. A neighborhood, a co-worker, a brother, a child, a stranger, sitting in dread of a report they're sure is coming. And God has put news in your possession that they haven't received. The feet that run across the ridge to deliver that news will be called beautiful by the one who assigned the running. Don't wait for cleaner shoes. The city is in dread, run now. I want my feet to be the kind Isaiah described in chapter 52. Mama running to be the running that arrives in time to change the outcome. My body to be the body that covered the distance when shorter routes existed. And I want the report I carry to be the actual gospel. Not a watered down version, not a softened headline, not an edited message. The full announcement, peace is here, salvation has arrived. Your God reigns, the kind of news that makes a city stop dreading and start celebrating because the messenger came up over the ridge with feet that finished the run. Beautiful feet, that's what they're called when they show up. Beautiful feet, torn, dusty, bleeding from the run, but called beautiful. Cause beauty in this assignment is about function, not finish. The willingness to cover the distance is the actual elegance. Beautiful feet, I'm running across the ridge with the news, carrying word of peace to a city expecting bad reports. Beautiful feet, and I'm not waiting for cleaner shoes. The run is the beauty, the showing up is the gift. Run, the city is waiting, the news is in your possession. Don't wait for better shoes. Don't wait for a cleaner version of yourself. The feet that show up are the beautiful ones. Cross the ridge, deliver the report. You God reigns. Yeah, 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 yeah. You God reigns. The king made a statue and told everybody to bow. 3 men didn't bow. Said our God is able to deliver us from the furnace. But even if he doesn't, we still won't bow. Even if he doesn't. That's the line that stops me every time. Faith without an exit clause. Worship without a contingency. The fire was the test, but the refusal was the worship. Before the deliverance, the defiance. Yeah. The king made the statue, the music played, the people bowed. Whole nation on his face in front of the wrong thing. And 3 men stood standing in the kingdom on the floor, visible. That's the part the story doesn't soften. You don't get away with standing when everybody else is kneeling. The conspicuous obedience is what got them reported. The visible difference is what got them brought before the throne. They didn't go to the king sent for them. That's how dangerous standing up alone really is. The king gave them a second chance. That's in the text. Said bow now and we'll forget what happened. And they said we have no need to answer you in this matter. We're not gonna negotiate with the offer. Our God is able to deliver us from your hand, oh king. But even if he doesn't, we will not bow to the image you set up. That's a closed door, no room for adjustment, no exit clause. Fire don't touch me. The math don't add up. 3 men walked in, 4 walked out. Fire don't touch when you stand for the right thing, the flames that were meant to consume you become your environment. The furnace gets hot, but I don't get burned. Cause what they meant to kill me became my classroom. Fire don't touch me. He's the 4th man in the fire, walking with me through what they thought within me. Fire don't touch me. I'm walking through. Yeah. The king turned up the heat 7 times hotter than normal. The men who threw them and died on contact with the flames, that's how hot it was. The bystanders couldn't even approach, and the 3 men walked into the furnace bound. But the only thing the fire burned off was the ropes. The fire freed them from what was holding them. The thing meant to destroy them was the thing that loosed them. And the king looked in and counted 4, not 3. A 4th man walking with them whose appearance was like a son of the God. That's the part of the testimony you don't get without the furnace. You don't see the 4th man in the comfortable rooms. You see the 4th man when the heat is at maximum. When the bystanders can't survive the temperature. That's when he shows up in person, not delivering you from the fire, meeting you inside it. And the meeting inside the fire is worth the trip into the furnace. That's what the three men knew before they refused to bow. Fire don't touch me. The math don't add up. 3 men walked in, 4 walked out. Fire don't touch me. When you stand for the right thing, the flames that were meant to consume you become your environment. The furnace gets hot, but I don't get burned, 'cause what they meant to kill me became my classroom. Fire don't touch me. He's the 4th man in the fire, walking with me through what they thought would end me. Fire don't touch me. I'm walking through. Hey, yeah. When they came out of the fire, the text says, not a hair on their heads was singed, their clothes weren't burned. There wasn't even the smell of fire on them. That's the testimony I want. Not just delivered, uncontaminated. Walked through the worst they could throw and didn't bring the smell with me. The fire forgot to leave his mark. The furnace forgot what it was for. 'Cause the 4th man was the temperature regulator, and he had a different reading than the king did. I've been in the furnace more than once. I'm not metaphoric about this. Been in seasons where the heat was meant to break the conviction. When standing up cost me what was supposed to be guaranteed, and I'd be a lie to say that heat didn't burn through some things. But what it burned through were the ropes, what was holding me hostage. Came out of the season lighter than I went in, because the fire took what wasn't supposed to come with me and left the man God was building untouched. Fire don't touch me. Touch the chains, the man kept walking. Fire don't touch me. The math don't add up. 3 men walked in, 4 walked out. Fire don't touch me. When you stand for the right thing, the flames that were meant to consume you become your environment. The furnace gets hot, but I don't get burned, 'cause what they meant to kill me became my classroom. Fire don't touch me. He's the 4th man in the fire, walking with me through what they thought would end me. Fire don't touch me. I'm walking through, even if he doesn't. That's the posture. I trust him with the deliverance. I trust him with the outcome. But I'm not bowing to the statue regardless. The decision doesn't depend on the rescue. The decision is the worship. Fire don't touch me. I'm walking through. I'm walking through. Justice would have ended me. That's not exaggeration, that's accounting. By every ledger I knew how to read, the math came out one way. Mercy interrupted the math, not because I deserved it, because mercy decided to. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around what kind of love does that. 8 tracks led me here. This is the one that holds them all together. Hey, hey, hey. I came up where loyalty was the highest law, and mercy was a luxury we couldn't afford to model. Where forgiveness looked like weakness in the wrong hands, in the wrong hands. Where everywhere you don't extend grace where you're not protected. You extend it once and you're a target the next time. That was the curriculum on the block. Then I met a man called Jesus who broke the curriculum. He stood between justice and me, not deflecting the verdict, absorbing it. Took the sentence into his own body, and the sentence killed him so it couldn't kill me. That's not metaphor, that's the substitution doctrine. A righteous man took the consequence of an unrighteous man, and the books got balanced in a way I didn't pay for. Saved by mercy, not by performance, by the bleeding of another. Oh, saved by mercy, that's the testimony I live with. Not saved by my works, not saved by my striving. Saved by mercy. He stepped into my sentence, took the verdict that had my name on it. Oh, saved by mercy, that's the only word that holds for a man with my receipts in my chapters. Saved by mercy. The only thing between me and the math Was a love that didn't run the math. He just paid the bill. Mercy is what kept me when discipline could've ended me. Mercy is what found me when my trajectory said otherwise. Mercy is what whispered when condemnation got loud. Mercy is the reason I still have a tongue to confess this. Lamentation said his mercies are new every morning, and I needed that to be literal, not poetic. Because some mornings I wake up to evidence of yesterday's failure, and I need a God whose mercy doesn't carry over the deficit. He doesn't accumulate the receipts. He doesn't hold last week against this week. The mercy resets at sunrise, and I get to start clean. Not because clean is what I am, but clean is what He gives. Saved by mercy. Fresh delivery every 24 hours. Saved by mercy. That's the testimony I leave with. Not saved by my works, not saved by my striving. Saved by mercy. He stepped into my sentence, took the verdict that had my name on it. Saved by mercy. That's the only word that holds for a man with my receipts and my chapters. Saved by mercy. The only thing between me and the math was a love that didn't run the math. He just paid the bill. Micah 7 said He delights in mercy. Delights, that's the word. Not tolerates, not begrudgingly extends delights. The mercy isn't reluctant. It's the part of His character He enjoys exercising. He throws our sins into the depths of the sea. And Corey 10 Boom said He posts a sign. No fishing, that's the God I'm dealing with. A God who delights in not holding it against me. A God who finds joy in the very transaction that cost Him everything. I came up counting transactions. What you get, what you owe. Every relationship had a balance sheet. Every favor had to follow up. Then mercy walked into my economy and broke the system. A gift with no obligation attached. No callback waiting. Took me a long time to receive it without flinching. Took me a long time to stop looking for the catch, because every other love I knew came with the catch. Mercy doesn't have one. That's the part that took me longest to believe. Saved by mercy. The only love I've encountered that wasn't keeping a tally of what I cost it. Saved by mercy. That's the testimony I live with. Not saved by my works, not saved by my striving. Saved by mercy. He stepped into my sentence, took the verdict that had my name on it. Saved by mercy. That's the only word that holds for a man with my receipts and my chapters. Saved by mercy. The only thing between me and the math was a love that didn't run the math. He just paid the bill. 8 tracks brought me here. From the trap house to this final track. From the pit to the palace. From the bloodline to the breakthrough. From the ghost in the building to the man we gold in the cracks. And the conclusion of the whole album is one phrase. Saved by mercy. Not earned, not negotiated, not deserved. Saved by mercy. That's the testimony. That's the album. That's the whole story. James and John came to Jesus with their mother, asked for the seats on His right and His left in the kingdom. A Samaritan village had rejected them earlier in the chapter. They wanted to call down fire from heaven to consume it. Jesus called them boner, just sons of thunder, not as an insult, as a recognition. There was something explosive in them God could use once it got pointed in the right direction. Fire is good when it warms the room. Fire is dangerous when it burns the village down. James and John had fire, but it was aimed at the wrong target. A Samaritan town didn't receive Jesus on His way through. And the sons of thunder said, Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven like Elijah did to consume them? That's the verse, the editor softened. That's not gentle, Jesus' disciples. That's revolutionary energy looking for a fight, and Jesus rebuked them. Said, you know not what manner of spirit you are of, not the spirit of the kingdom. They had the right power, but the wrong target. The fire was real, the direction was wrong. I've been a son of thunder more than I want to admit. Had ardent zeal for the Lord and pointed it at the wrong people. Called down fire on the brothers who didn't agree with me, on the church that did it differently, on the city that ignored the gospel. And Jesus kept rebuking me the same way He rebuked rebuked him. You know now what man or spirit you are of. The fire's right, but the target is wrong, and the wrong target ruins the witness even when the zeal is genuine. Sons of thunder, that was my name before we recalibrated. Sons of thunder, fire pointing in every direction except the right one. Zeal without knowledge, conviction without compassion, ready to consume villages instead of preserving them. Sons of thunder, but he didn't take the fire away, he just turned the barrel toward where it belongs. Sons of thunder, same energy, different aim, pointed at the kingdom now, not at the brothers. Jesus didn't fire James and John for the misdirected fire. Didn't tell them they were too intense for the kingdom. He kept them in his inner circle, Peter, James, and John. The same three at the transfiguration, the same three in Gethsemane. Because Jesus saw something in the thunder he intended to use. Once the fire learned how to operate in the spirit instead of the flesh, and James eventually became the first apostle martyred, killed by Herod for preaching too boldly. That's the same fire retargeted. John became the apostle of love. That's the recalibration story right there. The same man who wanted to burn down a Samaritan town wrote the gospel that said God so loved the world, wrote the letters that said little children love one another. The thunder didn't disappear, the thunder grew up, and the same intensity that wanted to consume the village became the intensity that wrote about love for 60 years. Sons of thunder, that was my name before we recalibrated. Sons of thunder, fire pointing in every direction except the right one. Zeal without knowledge, conviction without compassion, ready to consume villages instead of preserving them. Sons of thunder, but he didn't take the fire away, he just turned the barrel toward where it belongs. Sons of thunder, same energy, different aim, pointed at the kingdom now, not at the brothers. When they asked for the thrones on his right and left, Jesus didn't shame the ambition, he redirected it. You don't know what you're asking, he said. Can you drink the cup I'm about to drink? Can you be baptized with the baptism I'm baptized with? The greatness of my kingdom comes through servanthood, not seating. He didn't say stop being ambitious, he said redirect the ambition toward the right kind of greatness. The kingdom needs your fire, it just needs your fire aimed correctly. I'm not apologizing for the intensity God gave me. The thunder is the gift, I just had to learn what it was for. What was meant for consuming villages was actually meant for breaking strongholds. What was meant for confrontation was actually meant for intercession. What was meant for arguing was actually meant for preaching. Same energy, different application, different outcome, and the kingdom finally gets the use of what he built into me. Once the barrel got turned in the right direction. Sons of thunder, that was my name before he recalibrated. Sons of thunder, fire pointing in every direction except the right one. Zeal without knowledge, conviction without compassion, ready to consume villages instead of preserving them. Sons of thunder, but he didn't take the fire away, he just turned the barrel toward where it belongs. Sons of thunder, same energy, different aim, pointed at the kingdom now, not at the brothers. If you got fire, he's not asking you to put it out, he's asking you to point it correctly. The same intensity that wants to burn down a village can break a stronghold over a generation. Acts 16, Paul and Silas in the inner prison, backs raw from a beating they didn't deserve, feet in stocks, midnight, no light. And the text says they were praying and singing hymns to God. The other prisoners were listening. Suddenly there was a great earthquake. Every door was open, every chain came loose. That's not a metaphor, that's a method. Yeah, they beat them publicly with rods. That's the historical record, inflicted with bleeding wounds before they ever entered the cell. And the magistrate threw them into the inner prison just to make sure inner prison meant no light, no air, no rescue. They took their feet and put them in the stocks so the men couldn't sit comfortably, couldn't sleep, couldn't pray standing. That's the conditions they started worshiping in. That's the room the song came out of, not despite the pain. Through it. What kind of man worships at midnight in a cell? What kind of man sings hymns when his back is still bleeding? The kind of man whose worship doesn't depend on the conditions, whose praise wasn't designed to require comfort to function. The prisoners around him in the dark were listening. The first congregation of that song was an audience of the imprisoned, which means the worship at midnight had two purposes simultaneously, reaching God above and reaching the captives in the next cell. The cell door open. Worship at midnight shook the foundation. Cell door open. Every chain came loose, not just theirs when you praise from the inner prison. The architecture changes. Cell door open, and they didn't run, they stayed in the cell so the jailer could be saved. The cell door open, the earthquake was for the captives in the next cell. The breakthrough was never just for me. Here's the part that breaks me every time I read it. The earthquake happened, the doors flew open, the chains all fell off, and Paul and Silas didn't run, they stayed in the cell. That doesn't make sense by any prison break logic, I know. You don't get a supernatural exit and stand still, but they stayed because the assignment wasn't just personal freedom. The assignment was the salvation of the jailer, who would've killed himself thinking the prisoners had escaped. So when the jailer drew his sword to fall on it, Paul cried out, "Do yourself no harm, we are all here." And the jailer came in trembling and fell down before them. What must I do to be saved? That's what the worship at midnight was actually for. Not just to get Paul and Silas out of the prison, to get the jailer into the kingdom. The cell door open, the worship at midnight shook the foundation. The cell door open, every chain came loose. Not just theirs when you praise from the inner prison. The architecture changes. The cell door open, and they didn't run, they stayed in the cell so the jailer could be saved. The cell door open, earthquake was for the captives in the next cell. The cell door open, the breakthrough was never just for me. The jailer's whole household got baptized that same night. The midnight worship that started as the desperate praise of two beaten men became the salvation of a family that wasn't even in the cell. What happens in the inner prison doesn't stay in the inner prison. The worship travels, the breakthrough travels. The earthquake shakes the dresses you can't see. Worship at midnight, anyway. I've been in my own inner prison, locked rooms in my own mind, stocks of depression, chains of habit, walls of circumstance. The worship I offered in those rooms, most of it didn't feel like much, was croaked out through the kind of voice that's been crying. But the breakthrough wasn't dependent on the quality of the singing, it was dependent on the fact that I sang anyway. At midnight in the inner prison with the conditions unchanged. That's the worship the earthquake answers to. The cell door open, the worship at midnight shook the foundation. The cell door open, every chain came loose. Not just theirs when you praise from the inner prison. The architecture changes. The cell door open, and they didn't run, they stayed in the cell so the jailer could be saved. The cell door open, earthquake was for the captives in the next cell. The cell door open, the breakthrough was never just for me. Whatever cell you're in tonight, worship anyway. The conditions don't dictate the praise. There's a jailer waiting to ask the question. Worship at midnight. The architecture is about to change. Daniel opened the window like he did every other day. 3 times toward Jerusalem on his knees. He knew the new law just made it a death sentence. He opened the window anyway. That wasn't protest, that wasn't performance. That was a man who couldn't change his routine, because his routine was who he was. Integrity cost the most when the cost is most visible. Daniel didn't pray louder because the law changed. Didn't pray quieter to fly under the radar. Open the same window at the same hour, facing the same direction. Cause what he did wasn't theater, it was identity. And identity doesn't negotiate with the legislative calendar. The men who set the trap knew exactly what he'd do. They didn't need surveillance, they needed routine. The integrity was so consistent it became evidence. That's the kind of life I want. Readable, repeatable, predictable. A man whose pattern is the proof of his prayer. Not a man who turns it on when the room is watching. Not a man who turns it off when the room turns on him. Same window, same posture, same time. Whether it cost me a promotion or cost me a den. The lion's den, that's where the integrity gets tested. The lion's den, we're doing the right thing, his teeth in it. Daniel went down quiet, came up the next morning standing. God shut the mouths of what the law sent for me. The lion's den, I'm not gonna change my window. I'm not gonna whisper what I used to declare. The lion's den, he's already sent his angel ahead. head, and the lions know whose man I am, even when I don't. The king who signed the law tried to take it back at sundown, realized too late what his pride had set in motion. Spent the whole night fasting, couldn't sleep, no entertainment. Showed up at the den at first light, asking the question, Daniel, has your God whom you serve continually been able to deliver you from the lions and from the bottom of the pit? Daniel answered, oh king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths. I have done no wrong before him and no wrong before you. The king who signed the death warrant became the witness, wrote a decree that our people should tremble before Daniel's God. The trap meant to silence the prayer, amplified it across the empire. The integrity that should have ended him established him. That's the math of the kingdom, not by avoiding the den, but by walking into it with the same posture you had outside it. That's where the integrity gets tested. The lions den, we're doing the right thing, his teeth in it. Daniel went down quiet, came up the next morning standing. God shut the mouths with what the law sent for me. I'm not gonna change my window, I'm not gonna whisper what I used to declare. The lions den, he's already sent his angel ahead, and the lions know whose man I am, even when I don't. God didn't keep Daniel out of the den. That's the part the prosperity preachers edit out. God let the law pass, let the trap close, let the lions wait. Then he shut their mouths inside the den. Deliverance isn't always the bypass. Sometimes it's the survival. Sometimes the testimony requires the visit. Sometimes the audience for the miracle is the king, who has to come to the den at dawn and ask the question that's worth a night with the lions. Woo! I've had my own dens, not metaphorical situational rooms I went in to knowing the integrity would cost me. Conversations I had knowing the truth would change the relationship. Decisions I made knowing the right choice would close the door, and God didn't always bypass the den for me. Sometimes he walked me through it with his angel beside me, and I came up the next morning intact with a story that the people watching couldn't explain by any system they knew. That's the testimony. The angel in the den, not the den you avoided. The lions den, swear the integrity gets tested. The lions den, we're doing the right thing, his teeth in it. Daniel went down quiet, came up the next morning standing. God shut the mouths of what the law sent for me. Lions den, I'm not gonna change my window, I'm not gonna whisper what I used to declare. The lions den, he's already sent his angel ahead, and the lions know whose man I am, even when I don't. Don't close the window, don't whisper the prayer, don't water down the routine that built you. The angel is already in the den, walking with the same posture you had outside it. Daybreak is coming, the king is coming to the pit at dawn to ask the question. Be ready to answer. 1 Samuel 17, David walked into Saul's tent to volunteer for Goliath. Saul put his own arm on the kid, and David said, I cannot go with these, I have not proved them. Took the armor off, walked to the brook, picked up 5 smooth stones. The armor of the king couldn't fit the man God called. The kid trusted what God had already trained him to use. What's in your hand is enough. Saul tried to give David equipment David didn't know how to use. The king's logic was bigger problem, bigger armor in the conversation. But David had something more valuable than borrowed armor in his bag. He had years of practice with the weapon already in his hand. Killed a lion to protect the sheep, killed a bear with the same skill set. The sling wasn't a downgrade from the sword, it was a precision instrument that God had been training him to use through quiet years in obscurity. The shepherd's tool became the warrior's weapon when the moment came. I've been offered armor that wasn't mine more times than I wanna recount. People trying to put their playbook, their strategy on me, saying you need to do it this way. This is how the big leagues operate. Every time I try to wear somebody else's armor, I move slow and weak. Couldn't fight in their gear because their gear wasn't built for my battle. Had to take it off and pick up what God had already trained me to use. The sling I've been carrying since the field of the sheep. The skill that looked small until the moment it was the only thing that worked. The sling was enough, I don't need Saul's armor. The sling was enough, what God trained me with in the field. Killed a lion in obscurity, killed a bear when nobody was watching. That practice was the preparation for the moment in front of the army. from the brook, I only use one. But I came prepared in case the giant had friends. The sling was enough, and I'm walking toward Goliath with what God put in my hand, not what somebody else handed me. Notice David picked 5 stones, not 1, not 3, not 7, 5. Some say 4 Goliath's brothers were giants too. David came prepared, but the deeper read is David wasn't presumptuous about the win. Walked up to the line with backup ammunition for unexpected resistance. Faith doesn't mean assuming the easy route. Faith means trusted preparation. The same God who taught him to sling also taught him to count contingencies. Confidence in the calling included readiness for the complications. That's the kind of faith I'm growing into in my own assignments. Not the bravado that doesn't prepare because God will handle it. The discipline readiness that practices the sling for years, that know what's in the bag and what each stone is for, that walks toward Goliath without the king's armor on, but doesn't walk toward Goliath without the brook stones in the bag. Faith plus preparation is the David equation. Goliath laughed when he saw David coming with a sling. And my dog that you come at me with sticks. The giant insulted the weapon because he didn't recognize the training behind it. What looks small in your hand is large when God trained the hand. The giant's mistake was reading the equipment, not the operator. The operator had been training in obscurity for years. Stop trying to fight your Goliath with someone else's armor. Stop borrowing playbooks for battles. God uniquely trained you for the thing in your hand, the gift you've been using in obscurity. The skill you developed in the field with nobody watching you build it. That's the weapon for the moment that's coming. Don't downgrade what God upgraded in you through the lion seasons, the bad seasons, the years, tenure sheet that nobody noticed you tending. Those were not wasted, those were the training. The sling was always enough. I don't need saws on. The sling was enough. What God trained me with in the field. Kill a lion in obscurity, kill a bear when nobody was watching. That practice was the preparation for the moment in front of the army. The sling was enough. 5 smooth stones from the brook, I only use 1, but I came prepared in case the giant had friends. The sling was enough, and I'm walking toward Goliath with what God put in my hand, not what somebody else handed me. Take off the borrowed armor, the thing in your hand, that's what God trained you with. You've been practicing in the field for years. The sling is enough. A man went on a journey and gave his servants his goods. 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another, 1 talent to the third, according to their several ability. That's the detail people miss. He didn't give the same to each, he gave according to capacity. And when he came back, he asked for an account. The first 2 doubled what they were given. The third buried his return exactly what he received, no more, no less. And the master called him wicked and slothful. Burial is not preservation, burial is theft. The third servant thought he was being safe with what wasn't his. Buried the gift in the ground when nothing could touch it. No risk, no loss, no diminishment of what he was handed. And he was sure that was stewardship, preservation by storage. But the master came back and called the burial wicked, because what's been entrusted is supposed to multiply, not just survive. The economy of the kingdom doesn't reward break-even returns. Maintenance is not the assignment, multiplication is. I've been a third servant on more than 1 gift in my hand. Played it safe with what I was given because I was afraid of losing it. Buried the calling under maintenance, work to protect myself from the risk. Buried the platform under fear of saying the wrong thing. Buried the relationships under the comfort of not being known too deeply. And every burial felt responsible at the time, until the master came back and asked the question, what did you do with what I gave you? The talents. He's coming back to ask the question, the talents. What did you do with what was put in your hand? Not what could you have done with more. What did you do with the portion? Faithful with little, ruler over much. That's the formula. The talents. I'm not burying mine in the ground, I'm putting it in the work, taking the risk, multiplying the assignment. The talents. I wanna hear well done. When he asked me to give an account, the text says the first servant traded with the talents and gained 5 more. Double what he started with through active engagement. He didn't hold on to the original, he put it in motion. Emotion produced multiplication that hold it never could. That's the principle. The gift activates through usage, not protection. You can't multiply what you won't risk, you can't grow what you won't deploy. The second servant had less to start with, only 2 talents, but the master response was identical to the first. Well done, good and faithful servant, enter into the joy of your Lord. Notice he wasn't compared to the man with 5, he was rewarded for what he did with 2. That's grace I needed to understand. The reward isn't relative to others, the reward is relative to faithfulness with your specific portion. You don't have to outgrow somebody else, You have to grow what you have. The talents. Coming back to ask the question. The talents. What did you do with what was put in your hand? Now what could you have done with more? What did you do with the portion? Faithful with little, ruler over much. That's the formula. The I'm not burying mine in the ground. I'm putting it in the work, taking the risk, multiplying the assignment. The talents. I wanna hear well done, 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 done. When he asked me to give an account, the third servant defended himself by accusing the master. I knew you were a hard man, reaping where you didn't sow. So I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. The fear was the foundation of the buried. And the fear was based on a wrong picture of who the master was. That's the pattern. Wrong picture of God produces wrong stewardship of the gift. The man who sees God as harsh hides everything. The man who sees God is faithful and invests everything. I wanna be the servant who hears well done at the end. Wanna give an account that doesn't begin with explanations, doesn't begin with what I could've done if circumstances were different. Doesn't begin with comparison to the servant who got 5 when I got 2. Just an honest accounting of what I did with what I was placed in charge of. And I want the answer to be that I multiply what I was given, not buried, multiplied, not protected, invested, not preserved, activated. Coming back to ask the question. What did you do with what was put in your hand? Now what could you have done with more? What did you do with the portion? Faithful with little, ruler over much. That's the formula. I'm not burying mine in the ground. I'm putting it in the work, taking the risk, multiplying the assignment. The talents. I wanna hear well done, done, done. When he asked me to give an account. Whatever's in your hand right now, the gift, the platform, the relationships, the resources, that's the talent. Don't bury it. Don't preserve it in a state of careful non-use. Activate it. Risk it. Multiply it. The master is coming back. And the only question is what you did. Matthew 27, verse 51. The exact moment Jesus gave up the ghost on the cross, the veil of the temple was torn in two from the top to the bottom. From the top, that's the detail you don't want to miss. It's not a man tearing it, that's God tearing it. The veil that separated the Holy of Holies from the people. The barrier only the high priest could pass through once a year. Tore from the top. The moment Jesus died, access changed forever in that instant. The middleman was retired. For centuries, the people couldn't approach God directly. They had to go through priests, through sacrifices, through systems. Only one man once a year with blood could enter the Holy of Holies. And if he did it wrong, he came out dead. That was the architecture. The designer made access cost something, but the architecture changed at 3 in the afternoon on a Friday. When the man on the middle cross said that it's finished, the veil ripped top to bottom and the system collapsed. I don't need a priest to talk to my father anymore. Don't need a mediator who isn't Jesus. Don't need a building, don't need a calendar, don't need a denomination's permission to enter the throne room. The blood of Christ is the access pass and it's permanently issued. I walk in with confidence, that's what Hebrews says. Boldly approach the throne, find grace to help in time of need, and the time is always now. The veil tore, the access is open. The room is available. The veil tore. That's the direction. The veil tore. God did it from his side, not ours. The middleman was retired the moment Jesus died. And I walk in the Holy of Holies with the blood as my ticket. The veil tore. I don't need a priest to ask the Father. The Son of God is my mediator, the only one I need. The veil tore. And I'm walking in boldly. The room is open. The Father is waiting. Hebrews 10 puts language to what the torn veil actually purchased. Therefore, brothers, having boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way which he has consecrated for us through the veil. That is to say, his flesh. His flesh was the veil. But his flesh tore on the cross, the veil tore in the temple. The two events were the same event in two locations, and the access through his flesh became the access through the veil. That's why no priest can reestablish the barrier he removed. That's why no denomination owns the entry point he purchased. That's why no system can charge admission for a room that's already free. The veil is torn, the blood is shed, the way is open. And anybody who tries to put the veil back up is fighting a resurrection. Anybody who acts as a middleman is competing with the only mediator. Jesus is the way, direction. The veil torn. God did it from his side, not ours. The middleman was retired the moment Jesus died, and I walk in the holy of holies with the blood as my ticket. The veil torn. I don't need a priest to ask the Father. The Son of God is my mediator, the only one I need. The veil torn. And I'm walking in boldly. The room is open. The Father is waiting. The high priest used to put a rope around his ankle when he entered the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement. In case he died inside, they could pull his body out without sending another man in after him. That's how dangerous direct access used to be. And in one moment on a Friday afternoon, the danger was removed because the man on the cross took the danger into his own body. Now the room is safe, walking. I'd be earned with prayer, man, after I understood the torn veil. Used to pray like I was begging from outside the room, like God might be too busy, too far, too holy for what I was bringing. But the veil is torn, I'm not outside, I'm inside, and I'm not begging. I'm conversing with my Father in his chambers. The blood of his Son got me through the door. The door doesn't close, the Father doesn't tire me. Walk and sit down, talk, he's been waiting. The veil torn. Top to bottom, that's the direction. The veil torn. God did it from his side, not ours. The middleman was retired the moment Jesus died, and I walk in the holy of holies with the blood as my ticket. The veil torn. I don't need a priest to ask the Father. The Son of God is my mediator, the only one I need. The veil torn. And I'm walking in boldly. The room is open. The Father is waiting. You don't need permission to pray. You don't need a building. You don't need a ceremony. You don't need a clergyman between you and the Father. The veil is torn, walking. The blood of Jesus is the credential, and the credential is permanent. The room is open right now. Going. You didn't find me in the pew. Didn't find me with my hands raised on a Sunday morning, with everything cleaned up and presentable. He found me in the worst version of my address, in a specific room I'm too ashamed to name out loud. And he didn't wait for me to clean it up first. He came in. That's the part that undoubts me every time I tell it. He came in. I was deep in it when the conviction came. Not tiptoeing, fully in both feet, no daylight between me and the dark. Running product, running from myself, running from the version. My mother prayed over every night without ceasing. Her prayers were working on the delay. I couldn't see the seed she planted at a kitchen table in 1994 was germinating underground while I lived like none of it was real. God didn't announce himself dramatically. There was no blinding light, no audible voice, no Damascus moment. Just a Tuesday where something in me got tired. Where the life I was building started to feel like a sentence. Where the money and the power and the respect all felt like furniture in a burning building. And the exit became more important than the inventory. Trap house testimony. That's where he found me. Not cleaned up, not ready, not anywhere near deserving. Trap house testimony. He walked through the door I was hiding behind. Said I know what's in here and I came anyway. This is the gospel for the address. Nobody sends missionaries to the floor. God gets on his knees on the room. The religious walk past. Trap house testimony. I'm the proof. He finds you where you are, not where you're supposed to be. The church version of salvation is clean. Altar call, heads bowed. The street version is messier. It happens in stages. First the hunger, then the doubt that the hunger is real. Then the one person who doesn't flinch at your full foul. Then the moment you test the grace and it holds. Then the slow rebuilding of a man who got rebuilt from materials nobody else would have kept. I brought all of it to the altar. Eventually the record, the reputation, the specific sins with specific names, and none of it disqualified the call. The same God who found me in the worst address had already drafted the assignment before he found me there. Which means the address was in the plan, not the sin. The address, the location was part of the qualification. Trap house testimony. That's where he found me. Not cleaned up, not ready, not anywhere near deserving. Trap house testimony. He walked through the door I was hiding behind. Said I know what's in here and I came anyway. This is the gospel for the address. Nobody sends missionaries to the floor. God gets on his knees on. Trap house testimony. I'm the proof. He finds you where you are, not where you're supposed to be. Rahab was in the business when the spies came. Still in it, not recovered, not reformed yet. And God used the household as the salvation point for his people entering the promised land. The red cord in the window, from her world, her materials. God doesn't wait for you to clean up the house before he puts a cord in the window. He works with what's in the room. He works with what's in the room. Now I tell the full address, no editing, no softening, because somebody listening grew up at the same intersection. Somebody on this song right now is in the room I came out of, and they need to know it's not too far. There's no address God hasn't already mapped a route to. No version of yourself that disqualifies the rescue mission. He came for me in my worship chapter. He'll come for you and yours. The trap house testimony is not my cautionary tale. It's the receipt of his range. Trap house testimony. That's where he found me. Not cleaned up, not ready, not anywhere near deserving. Trap house testimony. He walked through the door I was hiding behind. Said I know what's in here and I came anyway. This is the gospel for the address. Nobody sends missionaries to the floor. God gets on his knees on the room the religious walk past. Trap house testimony. I'm the proof. He finds you where you are, not where you're supposed to be. I tell the full address now, not to glorify it, to specify him, to make it clear that grace traveled to a place nobody else was sending grace. Somebody needs to know God has your address too. The worst version of it, and he's already on his way.